This is my friend Console from the YouTube channel Logstick. But seriously dude, have distinct PFPs for them. One thing he is very adamant about is hating on Pokemon. While I have to defend it because I like it, I can't ignore the criticism. Yes, most Pokemon games are the same with some assets just moved around. The thing that makes playthroughs original are the Pokemon themselves. That, however, can easily be countered with randomizers and set teams. If you use your Fire Red Leaf Green team in Sword and Shield, it would feel very similar. So today, I'll be looking at all the Pokemon games, seeing which ones are the most worthwhile and which ones are just standard Pokemon formula. I'll be using 4 criterias. Story. The story is not always the same throughout the games. If it is, that's the standard Pokemon formula shining through. The more original the story, the better. Gameplay elements. Game Freak can't remove the whole battle system and mechanics, otherwise it wouldn't be a Pokemon game. So, what does this game do to change the elements? Bonus points if they're expanded upon. Region design. Are the game's areas fun to explore? If they're very linear, they won't be seen as very impressive. Music. No entry has similar music, and when it does, it's very rare. What games have the best soundtracks? I'll put graphics here as a criteria, but that kinda knocks down the older games and... come on, it's Pokemon. This, as a result, makes the Gen 5 games the most visually stimulating games in the series by a landslide due to what it does with sprite work. So, without a further ado, let's get down the list. The Game Boy games are ungood. They feel so archaic and bland. They're severely outclassed by their remakes. These are just lame. All left here, except for Crystal because it has elements that weren't present in Heart Gold Soul Silver. Moving on to tolerable games, we have the Hoenn games. These in a normal Pokemon list would be top tier, but they're pretty basic. But we're going to put it in the most appropriate category for the ranking, 7.8 out of 10. Not just because of the funny, but because the water makes this one of the most interesting areas to explore. Sure, it's annoying to have every single tile as an encounter, but the water makes the region design really stimulating. Also, the music. I stand by that this region has the best location music. It has routes 110, 111, 113, Petalburg, Westboro, Slateport, Verdanturf, Fortree, Victory Road, and the crown jewel that is Littleroot Town. That doesn't mean the battle music is bad though. The rival, Elite Four, and Champion battles are epic, and in ORAS, the addition of the Wally and Zinnia battle themes make it even better. Oh, and also furthermore, the remakes will be included with their predecessor. Looking at the game's stories, it's very cool that there are differences if you choose Ruby or Sapphire, but they're trumped by Emerald. Emerald's story is Ruby and Sapphire's but better, which in turn, Emerald is Ruby and Sapphire but better. Meshing the two stories together virtually makes the separate ones obsolete. The story either way is kinda bland though. Not bad, but bland. Two grumpy dudes want to raise or lower the sea level respectively. Emerald does both of these things and adds in a third element in 2 terms, so Emerald will be a 7.8 out of 10 or high B tier because of the excellent music, good region design and story, but nothing exceptional gameplay wise. Ruby, Sapphire, and the remakes will take lower B tier for being kinda useless in the grand scheme of things, but for being the most worthwhile aside from the third versions. After that is Fire Red and Leaf Green, the remakes to the first games. As a result, these are pretty bland because this formula was new and not overused. I have very little to say about them. Gameplay's alright, music's alright, it's actually pretty good. Not actually, but you're free to do the story elements in any order, so that's epic. Story's kinda boring actually, just evil mafia dudes being evil. C tier, moving on. Okay, Gen 4 time. These are constantly praised as the best games, but whether that's true or the majority of the fanbase is just nostalgic is complicated. Diamond and Pearl, while having an alright story, design, gameplay elements with a physical special split, and the great battle music are super slow. So much that they're a nightmare to play. They also feel super generic, and the fact that BDSP is just a carbon copy knocks it down a tier. It would be C and D respectively, but there's a humongous elephant in the room. Platinum is often regarded as the best game in the series. This fixes all problems that Diamond and Pearl have. It's faster, weird unnecessary things were fixed like the Pokedex, and gyms were updated to be even better. The story got a major glow up with that amazing climax in the Distortion world, and also more stuff with Cyrus and Cynthia. Speaking of Cynthia, her tracks are amazing. Along with the gym battle and trainer battle themes, the battle song list is great. Platinum even improves with the stellar Giratina battle music. Locations have Eterna, Canalave, Eterna Forest, Sunny Shore, and Mount Coronet. Everything else stayed the same. A tier for being the best, most traditional Pokemon game, and Diamond and Pearl get D tier while BDSP gets F. Heart Gold and Soul Silver, also considered some of the best. These are the most polished games in the series. There's a lot of quality of life stuff that never returned for some reason. The story is a little generic, but an improvement on the Kanto games. Although, you need a good understanding of Kanto's plot to fully enjoy it. Region design is really nice. Of course, the best part is that Kanto is included, and therefore going to another region has been one of the most requested things ever in this series. Maybe we'll see it in Scarlet and Violet. France does border Spain, and the Hollow Starters are returning. Outside of that, the place is really fun to explore. Routes are really cool and diverse. The battle soundtracks are pretty generic, but the locations are really nice. Azalea and Necrotique especially sound really good. All well-rounded games. B tier. Gen 5! Automatic S tiers. This gen has the best story in all of Pokemon. In the first game, Team Plasma feels threatening and has a bunch of twists and turns. Their menace ramps up in both games, and when N is revealed to be not just a part of it, but a critical figure, it hits its climax. The whole experience with Elite Four is really cool. One of the first instances of the Pokemon formula being completely turned on its head. Black and White 2 are the same but replace N with Colress, and also Hugh having history with them, and how the team has changed with Ghetsis hiding nothing anymore and N having a change of heart. Some of the best region design in the series, especially with expanded sequelness or sequality. I don't know, I choose sequality because it sounds really cool. I love making up words. 80 words are just better than nest words. Alright, Pokemon. Of course, it looks visually stunning. The region design is just really intricate and cool. The routes feel explory enough. I don't need to tell you how good the music is, but if I do, you got Hugh, the gym battle themes. The gyms themselves have their own distinct music, which is really cool. Roxy's, Elisa's, Clay's, and Marlin's gym are really cool, and the fact that 3 gym leaders change between the 2 game pairs. Not really anything for gameplay, but at least the sprites look cool. X and Y do not have a good story. Oh no, Evil Man wants to destroy and recreate the world. How original. The music's fine, the rat design's fine. Mega Evolution's cool, but it was never expanded upon when it really should. They just gave up on it post Gen 7. The fact that it even was in Gen 7 made it look like it would be expanded, but nope. The weird PNGs for trainers and even important characters like the gym leaders were really weird, and for RS too. The whole semi-chibi look is kinda weird. I like to trash on these games, D tier. Sun and Moon and also Ultra Sun and Moon. I will pair these together because I like Ultra Sun and Moon's story changes, but not its artistic changes. Just compare a wild Pokemon encounter between the two. The battle UI and music are just so much better in Sun and Moon. But where will they go? These games have the second best story. While Team Skull feels very lame, there's 3 elements that I think set this apart and kinda make it alright. Number 1, Guzma. It's ya boy, Guzma. He's so charismatic and funny, yet bone-chilling and menacing. He reminds you that this is in fact an evil team. The fact that he's a bug specialist is really cool. He also is epic once Team Skull gets uneviled and he helps you. Number 2, Po-Town. This feels like the only successful thing that Team Skull has done, but it is a big one. Supposed to be a protected town, Po-Town was completely evacuated because of all of the Team Skull havoc. You go there and the town's destroyed. The sheer contrast of a regular Pokemon Center and the one here sells it. Number 3, Gladion, who I'm using less as a point for Team Skull, and more for a transition to the other story elements. Lusamine and the Aether Foundation is compelling. She was a bad mom, so her children ran away, taking in tow a Pokemon to save, without realizing how powerful they are or will become. Gladion and Lily's struggles are really interesting, and it's cool to see them grow. Lusamine feels threatening, and that final fight with her sells it even more. The wild Pokemon theme is surprisingly good. You also have Hows, Gladions, the Kakunas, the Legendary, and Kukuis / the Champions / the Contenders battle themes. Also, that's another thing. Kukui is such a more interesting final battle in reference to Gen 1 than How. For locations, Mali City, Vast-Putting Canyon, Royal Avenue, Iki Town, and Howley City are epic. Region design is cool because of the island layout, but routes aren't a whole lot interesting, and Z moves aren't really interesting. Those don't really bring it down though. A tier. I'm not biased, you are. How the f did I forget the island trial? Let's go. I think it's better than Fire Red and Leaf Green due to having a slightly different story because of Blue, but as with Heart Gold and Soul Silver, you'll need prior knowledge of the first story to fully enjoy it. It does look good visually, probably the best looking 3D game. Story's good, the others are just the same as Fire Red and Leaf Green. Sword and Shield, the second worst design. Story's fine, but hand-carried by its characters. Hop, Sonia, Rose, Bede, Marnie, Piers, Leon, and Peony in the DLC are really fun. The story with some weird event in the past with two doggos happening again is generic without the doggo part. Team Yell is the same as Team Skull, except way toned down. Piers isn't threatening and becomes more of a bro throughout the story. Team Yell just happens to live in Spikemuth. Marnie has no struggles, she's just a cool character. The music is great, but that's because we have perfect battle themes alongside some not spectacular. The characters I just mentioned replace Sonia with a random gym leader. I choose Kabu because why not? Have those songs. Those other songs are nothing special. The wild Pokemon theme is good, but the beginning is obnoxious, the part you will be hearing the most. No standout location music besides Stolen-Side. 6, 8, and 10 are good routes. The others aren't. The wild area felt plopped in because Breath of the Wild was a game. It feels very disconnected and unfinished, unlike the Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra, which are consistent and the weather makes sense. Dynamaxing is cool when you can use it, but it feels obligatory. D tier for bad design, story, gameplay, and music, but good design, story, gameplay, and music. Legends Arceus. Let's look at game S tier. It completely got rid of the Pokemon formula for something fun and original. You throw balls at things like you've always dreamed of. Absolutely beautiful. This is the whole Breath of the Wild is a game shtick again, but it's a good formula. And it's not just aimlessly fighting monsters and completing objectives. Sometimes you don't have to fight them. Kinda weird that your character alone doesn't have a jump button. Basculegion's slow-mo should have been better implemented. Stupid fish can't aim right. The music is relaxing and the battle tracks are perfect remixes of their modern-day counterparts. The open world, areas, are really fun to thoroughly explore. Strong and Agile style completely changed the battle formula for the better, and if only this game had online battling. Such a missed opportunity. Just have a stricter move timer. They could have added it. They might have planned to give constant updates like with Daybreak, but for gore. I don't need to justify this claim. If you hate the Pokemon formula, this isn't that, so give it a try. Hey guys, it's me late at night, wanting to talk about Scarlet and Violet, because this was written before I've gotten the opportunity to play these games. And it's a huge opportunity. I'm gonna give them S tier automatically. For gameplay, Koraidon and Miraidon add a lot of versatility and add to the exploration element. And it's really fun to explore Paldea. Like, the design of the region is really good. All centered around the Great Crater Paldea, Area Zero. Honestly, one of my favorite locations in gaming right now. Story, phenomenal. Rivals, black and white. And music. The battle music is really good. Location music is, yeah, it's good for the most part, although it's a bit lacking in most departments in quantity. So, yeah, it has the priority of being the most recent game, so pick them up if you haven't already, and if you're, if you like Pokemon, I guess.
Oh, sorry about that. Editing me here. The footage accidentally glitched because we did not have enough time to produce this segment.
So there you go, Sticky Console Login, dear viewer. There's games you can play if you ever decide to be funky. Play S tier and maybe A, and you're good with the series. You never have to touch another game unless you decide to. Scarlet and Violet seem to be going on those tiers too, since most of the game seems to be optional. Breath of the Wild is a game! Also, newest entry priority. Anyways, like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and if you didn't, okay, there's a button that lets me see that, and you can see it too if you have returned YouTube dislikes. It still will hurt my feelings, but criticism is good. I would prefer it if you like, but disliking is fine. Why am I talking about this? Okay, I need to leave before I further embarrass myself. Okay, bye.